Hey all, Heretic here, and today in the Battlegrounds we're going to be talking about Season 10 announcements for Beasts. We're going to talk about all the Beasts leaving, new ones showing up, changes, trinkets, all that good stuff. That being said, let's jump right into it. And as always, we're going to start with the Beasts that are leaving. We're just going to quick hit them and maybe a comment or two, but otherwise, Sly Raptor's going to be gone. A stable of Beasts, we've had it for a long time, kind of sad. Mystic Sporebat. Feels weird that Sporebat's leaving right now since we're going to go big into tavern spells and neutrals and buffing and things like that. It feels like Sporebat would fit, but Sporebat is out. Karmic Chameleon is out. And this one definitely has enabled a lot of crazy builds over the previous metas, so I'm not shocked that this one's gone. And to be frank, hopefully it just doesn't come back. It's kind of an all or nothing. It sits in back. If 5 things die, it turns into a copy of your biggest thing and it destroys the enemy lobby, or it gets sniped early and it doesn't do jack. So I'm not going to complain too much. Nest Swarmer's gone. A little less summoning of beetles, I guess. Until we see more, you'll get it. Mechanized Gift Horse, gone. Dead Stomper, gone. This is one of those where you're never really super excited to build around. It'll work, but for me at least, it's not super fun building, so I'm not really going to care about this being gone. Goldrinn, gone. Now that one feels a little weird. I know Goldrinn isn't huge right now, but we've been kind of in a weird world where we kind of had Goldrinn, and then we went beetle heavy, and then we did a little bit of Goldrinn, but mostly beetles, and we're still mostly doing beetles, and now Goldrinn gone is a little concerning, but let's hope the new minions have something interesting to make our beast builds be less beetle-filled. Now to cover the minions that are returning or changing. And there's a couple of these and a couple of odd ones, but you'll see. First, Alley Cat. Tier 1, 1/1, Battlecry, summon a 1/1 cat is back. Economy on Tier 1, yes. A minion that enables stupid triples that was a problem last time it was in the game. Also, yes, kind of weird that they would bring it back since it was a problem, but I guess sometimes you like problems and you just want them back. Sure, Alley Cat. Hungry Snapjaw getting a little bit of a change. It's essentially the same, folks. Before, it had one more attack. So right now it's going to be Tier 2, 4/2 after a friendly beast dies, gain +1 health permanently. Essentially, exactly the same, just one less attack than it currently has in the game right now. Gentle Stag getting a decent stat rework here, going from being a Tier 3, 1/5, whenever you summon a minion in combat, give your rightmost minion +1/+1 permanently, to now being a Tier 4, 4/5, whenever you summon a minion in combat, give your rightmost beast +2/+2. So the key differences there are it's a higher tier, it has more attack, it gives a bigger buff, but those buffs only hit your rightmost beast. Now that allows you to buff other things than your Titus. Sorry, beast players, your Titus Rivendare you got early that you want to buff up, you can't. But your rightmost beast will be buffed up. Hopefully he's something you want to not die, Death Rattly, because it'd be a problem, but we'll wait and see. I feel like this is both a nerf and a buff, because before, if you had a bunch of summons, you'd run the Gentle Stag and you could buff anything. If anything, just buff the stag, so for tempo. Now you're getting it at Tier 4, and it's kind of specifically only really going to work for beasts. We're going to have to see where it ends up fitting with the new builds and if we can make it work. If anything, it's certainly not going to be a bad mid-game card. Just has your buy-in minions, you're like, oh, well, it's got decent stats, it's going to buff something so we can win some fights until we find clear direction and a win condition. So we'll see on Gentle Stag, but it looks promising. Silithid Burrower's back, and they're pretty different from what they used to be, if you can remember them, because it's been a minute. Originally, they were Tier 3, 3/1 Taunt, Death Rattle, give your beasts +1/+1 permanently. Not horrible, not great either, but there. Now, Tier 5, 5/1, Death Rattle, give your beasts +1/+1. Avenge 3, improve this by +1/+1 permanently. So the earlier you get this, obviously, the better it is. The stats it's giving are not permanent buffs, but the fact that it will increase that buff later in the game makes it a weird proposition, because okay, initially, yeah, it's a 1/1, so you need to hide it all the way and back. But later, if it's buffed up enough, you probably want to move it to the front because you want to have that buff being given out if it's actually significant. It's going to be a weird juxtaposition. It is never going to be a good card if you find it late, but it's going to be a good card if you find it early. Feels a little weird at tier 5, considering it takes time to scale up the buff it gives through Avenge. I'm not really sure this is going to see any play as it is. It feels like unless you hit this on like super early turns, like 6 and 7, you're not going to want to play this. So I'm not really sure what role this is supposed to fill, other than maybe they weren't quite sure. So they're like, well, we get a hole in 5. Let's put it in 5 and we'll move something around if it doesn't work out, which, I mean, I know I'm not involved in the play testing, but this sure doesn't look like it's going to work out, at least at a glance. Finally, Sin Runner Blanchy's back, tier 5, 4/4 Undead Beast, Reborn. This is Reborn with full health and enchantments. Blanchy has been a problem almost every time they've been in the game. They keep kind of shoehorning back in, and it keeps still being a problem. But they're back again, so we'll see. It's kind of concerning, especially for the undead boards, with all the ways you can destroy minions to print extra copies of things. With this having Reborn means you can easily make triples out of it. With the Beast board, we'll see how the buffing is going to be working, but it certainly looks and sounds very interesting. We'll see. Blanchy is always one of those cards that makes me very nervous because it just seems to be the center of so many broken combos people make that it just never ends well, but they're back again. Now we're going to talk about all the beasts that are staying, and they are staying exactly the same. No changes here. These are just minions that are continuing on doing their thing. But we're just going to hit them quick because there's a lot and there's not much to say. Buzzing Vermin, Mana Saber, Forest Rover, Hummingbird, Monstrous Macaw, Bird Buddy, Sprightly Scarab, Cave Hydra, Turquoise Skitterer, Rylock Metalhead, Ruined Progenitor, Indomitable Mount, and Hawkstrider Herald are all staying, and they're staying exactly the same, here to do the same thing they always do with their silly beastie goodness. All right, now it's time to talk about the new beast minions we're getting. Now, there's not many of them, but they're interesting. Let's see what you think. We're going to start with the Sharptooth Snapper, tier 2, 3/3. When you have space in combat, summon a 3/1 beast. It attacks immediately. This can be used for a few things. Let's say your opponent's running a Divine Shield taunt or a Venom taunt. You can run 6 minions, make sure this summons out, kills that, or wastes the Venom first, and then swing with something else. This doesn't have to be in the first position for that to work. If you're running 7 minions, then hey, when there's space, it'll kick out this 3/1 token that attacks immediately. Either way, not too bad for a tier 2, fits nicely. Looking at tier 4, we have the Valiant Tiger. This 4/3 beast is Taunt, Death Rattle, give your rightmost beast +4, +3 permanently. I mean, it's a taunt, which beast boards are usually digging for anyways. You can reborn it because it's a beast. It's giving stats to your rightmost beast. Not too shabby. Unfortunately, it keeps saying beast, so Titus is sitting in the back going, damn it, why can't I be a beast also? Finally, we have the Silky Shimmermoth. This tier 6, 7/3 is after this gains attack, your beetles have +2/+2 this game. Death Rattle, summon a 2/2 beetle. Hey, how you feeling about this right now? Does this instantly put up red flags? After this gains attack. Doesn't say attack in combat. It doesn't say attack from some specific thing. It's like, I just gain attack. The problem with this is if Quilboar or Naga are in, especially Quilboar, and you're like, oh look, I have 8 blood gems. I play 8 blood gems on this thing. He gains stats, and all your beetles gain 16 in stats. Is that crazy? No, but if you get this early, if you have enough ways to generate spells, you certainly are going to give this thing attack. That's in addition to any other scaling you have on your beetles already. So yeah, it's not going to be like, well, I can't give it 50/50 in one turn, so it's garbage, but who cares? It's still going to be able to scale relatively well, relatively quick. I think this thing has some real potential. And with all the things we have that are targeting specifically our rightmost beasts with death rattles and other triggers from trinkets and all that good stuff, this thing can scale very quickly, which means all of your beetles scale very quickly. And if you'll notice from the departure of Goldrin, we're kind of looking for tier 6 beast win conditions, and well, you're looking at it, I think. We're going to be seeing a lot of these, so if you were tired of beetles before, sorry, I'm going to apologize to you right now about this season. You're going to see a lot more. Okay, it's time. We need to talk trinkets. We're going to start with the lesser returning trinkets. There's not many, which is always a good sign, but here they are. We're going to start with Feral Talisman. It's 2 gold. Your minions have +2/+1. Do you need tempo? Are you getting hurt? Are none of your other trinkets terribly good? Feral Talisman, there you go. Keep getting stronger and just win some fights. Fish Portrait is 3 gold. Get a Fish of N'Zoth. Are you running Death Rattles? Do you think you might run Death Rattles? Here you go. A fish who will copy those Death Rattles after they die in combat. Can't go too wrong with this. Deathly Phylactery is 2 gold. Discover a Death Rattle minion. Your first Death Rattle each combat triggers an extra time. Doesn't matter what you're playing. If the Death Rattle's a good one, take it, get 2 triggers of it. You don't have to keep playing any tribe in particular. You can do whatever you want and just get the benefits of double your first Death Rattle, whatever it ends up being. It doesn't have to be the one you discover. Now for the new lesser trinkets we'll be looking at while playing Beast. We're going to start with Bird Feeder for 2 gold. Avenge 2. Give your minions +1/+1. You have a bunch of tokens, summons, Death Rattles. There you go. Have this out there, get some tempo, win those fights. Unholy Sanctum is 2 gold. Whenever you trigger a Death Rattle, give your rightmost minion +3/+3 permanently. It doesn't care what type of minion it is, be it neutral or tribe-based. It's going to buff whatever that rightmost thing is. So get some tempo out of that, buff it up, win your fights again. Can't go wrong, nice and easy. Wicked Tomb is 3 gold. Avenge 4. Your tavern spells that give stats grant an extra +1 attack this game. I mean, it's not insane, but it is interesting because you will summon a lot of things typically. Thus, you will get value out of the Avenge for that. We're going to actually have to play some games with Beast to see if this is something we want to do. It's a lesser trinket. It doesn't have to be a win condition. I just feel like it looks like some of these other ones are better. Macaw Portrait is 2 gold. Get a Monstrous Macaw. Your Monstrous Macaws also trigger your leftmost battle cry. Okay. Wow. First of all, this is good for anything, right? If you've got a Macaw and you've got a battle cry you want to trigger and a Death Rattle, 2 different minions or the same combo package, why not? Go nuts. Probably don't taunt that because it's going to die and you're not going to get the full value out of it, especially if you've reborn the Macaw and whatnot. But just food for thought if you say you're playing Beast and you have this crazy minion you've probably never played before called the Forest Rover, which has a battle cry and a Death Rattle. I'm just saying, maybe you can milk some more value out of this thing this way. We'll see. It has some potential in a lot of builds, but I certainly think we see more beetles showing up. Finally, Beetle Band for 1 whole gold. Avenge 5. Summon a 2/2 beetle. Give it taunt. Well, that doesn't seem so bad. Beetles are only, they're only 2/2s. It's not like there's a way to buff oh no. Yeah, if you know you're going to play beetles, maybe you already have a way to scale them. Yeah, maybe you're thinking this is what you want to do just because you're hero power, or it's just good tempo because you have a bunch of summons. Why not? It's 1 gold, it's Avenge 5, and you're going to kick out random things to be annoying for your opponent, and if you're scaling them, probably a GG. Now for the greater returning trinkets we're going to be playing with Beast. First, Feral Talisman is 1 gold. Your minions have +6/+4. Tempo. Are you in danger of dying? Do you have a lot of summons? Doesn't matter what you're playing. Throw this out there, gain a bunch of stats, win a few fights, hopefully make it into top 4 at least. Rivendare Portrait is 5 gold. Get a Titus Rivendare. Start of combat, double the health of your Titus Rivendares. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't find Titus? Don't worry about it. Have him for 5 gold. Why not double his health? Keep buffing it so he'll have more stats. Yeah, this one's pretty good. If you're playing typically Beasts, any kind of Death Rattle build, you want a Titus. Can't say no to that, can you? And hey folks, if you're enjoying these, please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I like doing this a whole lot. This is my passion. I like to game. I like to make videos. And this is just fun for me. So please, the more you do that, the more we interact, the more the channel grows, and the more I get to keep doing this. So please, if you're enjoying this, if you're getting something out of it, it does help a lot for me, and hopefully it's also helping you. Thank you very much. Bye. Now it's time to talk about the new greater trinkets. And there's some interesting ones in here. Let's go with them. First, Bird Feeder is 2 gold. Avenge 2, give your minions +4/+4. Once again, are you in trouble? Have you taken a lot of damage? Do you have a lot of summons? Bird Feeder. The greater one will definitely keep you alive for a little while longer, typically. Unholy Sanctum is 4 gold. Whenever you trigger a death rattle, give your rightmost minion +6/+6 permanently. Once again, keep buffing that thing on the right so it'll survive. This one feels a little expensive. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of value out of it on that rightmost minion, but in the later game, I feel like some of these other trinkets are better, but is still gonna buff the hell out of what's over there. So, I mean, if you need to survive, there you go. All-purpose Kibble is 3 gold. Whenever a friendly beast attacks, give it +2 attack and permanently improve this. So, let's think about that. Their permanent attack they're gonna be getting keeps going up. That is gonna get quite high every time your minions swing. So, well, you might not have a ton of scaling if you do have a lot of summons and you can keep throwing minions at them. This one has an incredible amount of potential to just become insanely high. 3, 4, 6 turns of scaling with this thing. If the game goes even remotely long, that attack at least is in your favor. Yeah, you're worried about the return swings and if your guys are going to survive, but if you have enough summons and they keep getting big enough, that's pretty good. The issue will always be, yeah, when they get hit, they're not going to have this attack, so they're not going to be nearly as strong, but hopefully you have other scaling to at least offset that a little bit, or enough summons where you just don't care. Wicked Tome is 4 gold. Avenge 4, your tavern spells that give stats. Grant an extra +1/+1 this game. Well, I mean, that's pretty significant, right? I mean, the +1 attack version of this wasn't as exciting, but with health and attack, and at this stage of the game, you know if you have a lot of summons, that can actually get pretty damn high for those tavern spells. Yeah, if you're offered this and there's already 3 people dead, probably not going to go long enough for it to matter. But if everyone's still alive and good health, and you're relatively strong with a bunch of summons, this thing could scale those spells to a pretty crazy amount for you to get value out of them. Obviously, I haven't played it yet, but it seems like situationally, this one could be really good. Herald sticker is 4 gold. Start of combat, trigger all friendly death rattles. Yeah, you heard that right. All of them. Normally, Hawkstrider Herald is just the 2 leftmost death rattles. This one just gets them all and says, go nuts. I don't know how often it's going to be pertinent, but it certainly looks interesting, and I definitely would be considering this if I was playing any kind of death rattle build as soon as it was offered to me. There'd have to be a damn good reason. If they're all just summon minion ones, okay, not going to be great. But if there's any kind of buffing and scaling, which there usually is, this has a lot of potential. Finally, Beetle Band. For 4 gold, Avenge 6, summon 2 2/2 beetles, give them taunt. By this stage of the game, you should know if you're scaling beetles and you want to play beetles. And if you don't buy this probably. But if you've got the lesser beetle band and the greater beetle band, it does get a little stupid with the volume of minions you could summon out if you've buffed them. If you've taken both beetle bands, you probably don't have the amount of scaling you typically are going to need, because a lot of these other trinkets will help. But it is kind of funny to picture the sheer number of summons you could potentially put out on the board with this. We're going to see some fun, weird beetle builds that just never stop, right? They're just going to keep putting out minions, but ultimately, I don't think having both of them is the best plan, but it would be a funny plan when it worked. All right, that's it. That's Beasts. That's all the changes. That's everything we've got coming. How do you feel about Beasts right now? I don't really love that beetles are kind of like the main deal for them right now. I'm sure we can put together some kind of weird summon, buff the hell out of your Titus so he's a monster, but you've summoned so many things that you've whittled your opponent down that maybe you could win. I don't think so. I kind of feel like beetles are really going to be the primary way that beasts are going to be winning after looking at all this stuff and thinking about it. But that being said, you know, a lot of people are going to pick this apart and they're going to find good ways to optimize all these builds. All we can do, watch and see what they do and do the best we can. Thanks for watching all. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned a few things. I hope to see you in the Battlegrounds. Until then, have a good one. Later.